Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast.
Then I got involved in theater. You know, I auditioned for plays. Let's see, I'm trying to remember if I auditioned for anything else that year besides Oklahoma. I don't think so. My junior year we had, I can't remember his name either. Somewhere I have in boxes, I have yearbooks that I could look these things up. But he had gone to Lynchburg College, which is why I eventually went to Lynchburg College. And he was very flattered when he found out that I was going to Lynchburg. But he was my junior year. He, again, taught English and drama and directed the plays. And he didn't believe the next two drama teachers we had. Oh, this is funny. I need to tell you this. My sophomore year in drama class, we had to do monologues. And for my monologues, I was obsessed with Jimmy Stewart growing up. I had a huge crush on him. And he did a movie called Shenandoah, in which he played this farmer in Shenandoah, Virginia, who tried to stay neutral during the Civil War and the consequences to his family. And his wife had died, and he would go out and talk to his wife, Martha. You know, he had these monologues where he'd go out and talk. I put those... This is hilarious. I put there were 3 monologues of him talking to his wife in the cemetery. And I put those 3 together as a monologue for myself and performed them in drama class doing his voice. Martha? So I was doing this Jimmy Stewart imitation of him talking to his wife at the cemetery about what was going on with their family and the Civil War and all this stuff. So help me, there were kids in the class who were crying. I got kudos, but I was doing a Jimmy Stewart imitation. I think that's hilarious when I look back on it, and I took it deadly serious. I performed it deadly serious. I had gender identity issues, I guess, between the dance thing and the Jimmy Stewart thing. Anyway, all my role models were male, And anyway... So there's that. And then my junior year, we had this teacher whose name I can't remember. I can't remember any of them. I should. But I don't remember that many teachers' names. I remember Mr. Colvin from 8th grade history. He's the one that my mother went to the student teacher things, and he said, who is Jody Lawson's parent, or her parents here? And my mother said she was afraid to raise her hand for fear of, oh God, what she'd done now. And she spoke to him afterwards, and he said, wow. He said, oh, I just wanted to meet you. It's obviously someone's spent a lot of time with her. And but he was one of the most awesome teachers I'd ever had in my life. I hated history because it was always taught in a boring way. I always compare it to, swallowing sawdust without a glass of water. It wasn't until after I got out of school that I discovered I love history. I just don't love the way it's taught in schools. I don't know why they teach it the way they do, because it was awful. Anyway, but I loved him. He was awesome. He was the one that had a meter stick that he would... when he thought he was losing the class's attention, he would bring that down on his desk, and every time a little piece would fly off of it, and at the end of the year, the whole class, which loved him, gave him a brand new yardstick as a gift, he was also the one that when I was always raising my hand and commenting in class or asking questions, he was the one that I corrected. He quoted Hamlet, alas, poor Yorick. It's alas, poor Yorick, I knew him Horatio, but most people say, alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well, and he quoted it wrong, and I corrected him. I raised my hand and cried, which he loved. He was one of those teachers who loved it. I always had teachers who loved it when I argued with them or, whatever, until I got into college, and then that's a whole other story, but... and most of my teachers in college loved it. Even at BYU, I had teachers who loved me as a student. because I was always paying attention. I loved school. So, and Miss Warner, who in 5th grade was the one who was the first one to pay attention and say what's going on at home. Their names I'll never forget because they were awesome teachers. Anyway, so getting into my drama teacher, drama English, etc. in junior high, we did things like JB because he didn't believe in doing cute little simple-minded plays. He thought just because you're in high school doesn't mean you're an idiot and you're capable of doing great things. So he did really, JB is basically based, James McLeish, I think it was a Pulitzer Prize winner, I don't remember. It was a prize-winning play, I know that, based on the book of Job. And so, it's God and Satan, making bets over this guy's life, and it's a modern retelling of the story. Job is a businessman. And I played an old woman in it. I think I had one line. So we did that. I don't remember what else we did that year. And then the next year we had a different theater teacher, drama teacher, who I really liked, and he was awesome. I don't remember. Oh, we did Night Must Fall, and I played the old lady in Night Must Fall, which was really an awesome part. At the time, I was kind of hurt because you always want the ingenue part, so you think that's the part to have when you're young. Looking back on it, the fact that he cast me as the old woman in that is really flattering because she's a much more interesting character. She's this old woman who pretends to be that she can't walk. It's a murder mystery. It was Night Must Fall as a murder mystery. And turns out she actually can walk, and she's hollering for somebody to bring her a piece of candy, and she gets up out of her chair, and then the lights go out, and then she gets murdered. So, but she's getting out of her chair to go get a piece of candy. Anyway, I think it was the opening night for that, we all stood in a circle, and one of my very favorite, again, being a Jimmy Stewart fan, there's a Jimmy Stewart movie called Harvey. Yeah, I love that movie too, and I loved it then, and I memorized his little speeches, including the I Recommend Pleasant one, and yeah, it was that whole thing. But there was this whole speech he gave, and I can't remember it now, but I had it memorized. And he had played that part in a production somewhere. And we all joined hands, and he started to say that, and I went, oh, and I said it with him. We said it together for the cast. It was really kind of awesome. So we were both huge fans of that play and movie. The play is even more convoluted than the movie is. But anyway, so that's the only thing I remember from drama class. Oh, and I remember we did RUR, that's where I first heard of RUR. We did RUR my senior year in high school. And John McConnell and I, you're familiar with the whole idea of the play, the Adam and Eve characters.
Oh, I love that movie.
And we auditioned together with that scene, and again, we were really, really, really good. And the director didn't cast us at all, either of us, because he decided that we had worked on that outside and gotten outside help. I don't remember what. It was ridiculous, the reason why he didn't cast us at all. And it was high school is the same thing, as everything in high school is. There's cliques, and there's the people who do get cast and everything and get all the kudos for everything, and the popular kids versus the other kids and everything else. I was never really completely part of any one group. I floated around a lot of different groups and had friends in every conceivable group, including jocks and theater people and the student government people. Oh, that was the thing I was going to tell you about student government. When I met your Aunt Marie through Kathy Bowman, because when Kathy Bowman started investigating the Mormon Church, we were both Baptists, and we went to the same Baptist church. And then she left, and because of boys, there was a missionary who was basically using flirting to convert girls to the church.
Yeah, that was very popular at the time. I think I've told you before of the literally thousands and thousands of ghost names that I had to help investigate in Venezuela by other people who were baptized. We called them baseball baptisms. Long stories about that, but that's outside of the scope of what we're discussing. But yes, baptism by any means necessary was definitely a thing. Well, I mean, heck, it's still a thing now. They've just gotten a lot better handle on it, but back then it was the Wild West. He probably ended up becoming a can you remember that guy's name? Because I would not at all be surprised if that guy ended up becoming like a stake president or something later, and greatly honored in the church.
I don't remember his name, but it just, looking back on it, it's disgusting. So, but anyway, so when Kathy started bringing me, we had the Baptist church I went to. This is ridiculous, okay? I've told you I was a member of NRA, right? When I was in high school?
Yes. Yeah, you actually, I was going to say that I was going to hope you, that I think that the gun story was something that you should mention, so it sounds like you're about to.
Yeah. So, when I was a junior in high school, at some point in high school, about my sophomore year, I became really interested in religion. And I could not understand the concept of being saved. It made no sense to me. Saved from what? Saved how? How does it save you? It makes no sense. Oh, you just pray and accept Jesus as your Savior and you're saved. Okay, my brain is too logical for that. That makes no sense. So I kept, I would go to these. I was a very active member of Youth for Christ in high school. And, that was an organization in high school when I was there. And every time they'd have a revival meeting, I'd go to the front to talk to the counselors there and tell them, try to get them to explain. And nobody could explain the concept to me to my satisfaction. So, anyway, my junior or senior year in high school? Whenever it was, I became very active in my Baptist church, and we had a great teacher. We had a really, really wonderful teacher who, her class got bigger and bigger, and people would bring friends to her Sunday school class because she was so awesome. And she was a convert to the Baptist church. Apparently, she had started out investigating the Mormon church, and her husband, who was not religious, but he said, you're not going to become a Mormon. If you're going to go to any church, you're going to go to the Baptist church. So that's what she did, and she was a person who really was somebody who read the scriptures for answers and studied things and thought about them, just my kind of person, right? So kind of person I'm going to gravitate to, because she was somebody who really, really thought about things. So we really got in, and she started talking about the book of Revelations, and we all were really interested in that. So what she started doing, she and her husband, we had these retreats. It was the summer, I think, between my junior and senior year in high school. And we would go out to these, they were like, I think they had been like army barracks, but they weren't in use at the time, so they were just being used as retreats and so on. And we would go out to this place on weekends. It was like several weekends that we would, this huge girls' Sunday school class, we'd go, and on Saturday or during the day, we would go and shoot rifles. There was a target thing there, a shooting range. And he would teach us gun safety and how to shoot a rifle and all this stuff. And we worked on, we all became members in the NRA, and we all earned our marksmanship certificates or whatever they were. And it was awesome. It was really awesome. And then at night, we would study part of the book of Revelations. And she would have all these printouts, and it was really, really, really interesting. And this went on for like 7 or 8 or 12 weeks. And then we decided to go ahead and form an actual club for it, for the shooting and scripture study thing, because we all loved this. So, but what happened was the deacons, it split the deacons of the church. Now, I don't know exactly how the deacons at the church work, but it's kind of like the priesthood, I guess, in the Mormon church, the elders and
the deaconship are essentially the equivalent of the board, from what I understand.
Yeah.
They're not the minister, but they're kind of the people that select the minister and
are
the trustees of the physical property of the church.
Right, but it split the deacons, because half of them thought it was awesome. It was a great proselytizing tool, and we were bringing all these women, all these girls were coming because of this awesome teacher and this awesome stuff she was doing.
Quite frankly, it actually sounds like it could make a pretty good television show. Like this group of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but instead you have this Southern Baptist NRA hunting.
It was awesome. Anyway, so the deacons split on it. Half of them thought it was an awesome idea. And the other half thought it was just wrong on every level for these girls to be learning to shoot and out studying scripture without, male supervision and everything else. And so half the deacons quit over this thing, and they ended up banning our group. And we felt like, their attitude was, we have enough stuff at church for you. You don't need this. Well, of course, everything they had was boring as fuck. Everything was for old, elderly. It was a very elderly church. And we just felt like, well, obviously there's nothing here for young people. Everything is for old people here. And why are we here? So this awesome group of young women just started drifting off. And we ended up having maybe 3 of us left in class, including Joanne Raleigh. Her name was Joanne Todd when I was in high school. Her father was the principal. Mr. Todd was the principal. And she actually got the lead in all the musicals. Not all of them, but several of them. And yeah, I know, it was ridiculous. Anyway, but Joanne is actually a friend of mine on Facebook. We found each other through Facebook, and she's a friend of mine. So, and she's still a conservative Baptist. Anyway, so Joanne and me and like one other girl were left in the class, and then my friend Kathy was at that time investigating the Mormon Church, and I had met Marie at school, and I don't know if I
Mormon missionary that did this. I mean, my default.
I don't remember. I don't remember any of their names. So anyway, I started going to what's the college age group, Mutual. I started going to Mutual because I thought, well, Kathy's always talking about we're doing this, we're doing that. It sounded like they were doing great things for young people. I thought maybe I could bring some ideas back to the Baptist church that might help the Baptist church with young people, because obviously, maybe I could find
some. You should have taken back with you was the application of slow poison. Anyway, that will be.
Anyway, so I started, and of course, they were all flirts. That's how they got me into the church, was flirtation, basically. So I ended up leaving. Oh, and then she started giving me, the teacher at the Baptist church started giving me anti-Mormon literature.
Shut up! Copyright 2017. Red Anvil Amalgamated LLC. For more of this and other worlds, visit redanvilcreative.com.
to fight the forces of evil!